It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today. And today, just like any other time, we have a true special guest today. And today, we definitely have a good one lineup for y'all. We have the honor to be with Rhonda Britten. She is with us today, and she is a Emmy Award-winner, a repeat guest on Oprah, officially named America's favorite life coach. But that's not all. She has a lot of amazing accolades, and I'm telling you, it'll take me too much time to talk about it, but I got to give a little bit of detail. When it comes to someone that shows up in life, she is the one that does it, because when it comes to dedicating her life to breaking down neuroscience of fear and giving people the tools to break free from what is holding them back, she does just that. She's been on TV. You've seen her on TV. I mean, NBC's Starting Over, but other reality TV shows, over 600 episodes. I mean, she is the one that you really want to watch and hear today. I just want to first and say, Rhonda, thank you for your time being on the show with us. I just want to say, I could not do the whole introduction because, I practiced it. I said, man, this is going to be a 5-minute introduction. So first and foremost, thank you for your time being here with us.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, you don't have to tell much about me. Just be like, Rhonda Britten. That's it. That's good.
But I appreciate you being on, because on a serious note, I want to know first and foremost, because when I saw your request to be on the show, I said, I cannot let this question go by without asking her, what was it like being on Oprah? Because I remember when I was a little bit younger, my mom was a big fan of watching the show. And the word in the household was like, if you've been on Oprah, you definitely made it. So kind of real quick, share the experience. What was it like? How did you get discovered to be on her show?
Well, it's really interesting when you say, you've made it when you've been on Oprah. Well, I was on Oprah the first time, right when I was starting to coach, right when I started building my business. And I was on there because the first time is because I actually wrote a letter. I wrote a letter because people back then were talking about rape and incest and abortion and all of these topics, but nobody was talking about what my secret was. And so I wrote to her and said, I've got the biggest secret that nobody talks about. So she had me come on and talk about it. And back then I was, it's the first time I've ever shared my story in public, first time I've ever said it out loud to anybody but one person. So it was scary. She was great. She was very empowering, impactful. We actually have a friend in common, so we talked during the breaks. And then the last time I was on, it was because, I've written books and she knew who I was, and, she knows me. So she had me come on as a resilience expert. But what you're saying is what's interesting, like your mom said, somebody's successful, been on Oprah. Well, because I was on Oprah at the start of my career, I was able to say I was on Oprah. So I was able to, I'm sure I got a lot of speaking events because I said I was on Oprah.
I mean, from an outsider looking in, that's always something that we always wonder. How do they get on so-and-so show? Like, it's amazing to be able to talk to you today, because your book that you sold over 150,000 copies of, Fearless Living, that's the focus. And you also, you are the founder. You can see on the ticker tape there, you're the founder of Fearless Living Institute. Kind of tell us a little bit about building the momentum of your book, but also starting the Institute and how that formed.
Okay. So, building my business, I never thought about becoming a coach because I didn't think that I had a right to become a coach. I was one of those people that really believed my past dictated my future. And so I never thought I was a good role model. And I really believe that. And so I owned my own PR agency at the time, and for working for small entrepreneurs, like one people show, one person businesses. And one of my clients was one of the first life coaches. And so he would always tell me I'm going to be a better life coach than him, which there's no way, he's a genius. But he was the one that really encouraged me to do it. I was also at the same time going through a spiritual practitioner 4-year program in order to become a spiritual counselor. Never planned on becoming a spiritual counselor, but just wanted to go through the program and learn more. And those two events kind of coincided with some woo-woo magic that happened. And because of that, I started within the next year of this meeting him and starting to work with him and starting to support him, starting to surrender to the fact that maybe I had something to contribute. Maybe I had something to say. Maybe I had something to give. And then what happened there then is I started with one client, right? And again, nobody knew about coaching back then. I was probably one of the 5 coaches alive at that time that was called a coach. So I started doing one-on-one clients. That's what I did. I did one-on-one clients. And for the first 6 months, I only had 2 clients. And I could not get another client. And finally, like around the 6-month mark, I had an epiphany. And within 1 week, I had 20 clients. And that started me on a roll in the sense of I had a full slate. And then from there, one of my private clients asked me to teach in her business. And I was like, no, I don't do that. You know, again, I'm fearless living. So I was like, I don't do that. I do privates. And she's like, no, I want you to come and teach what you're teaching me. It's like, no, I don't do that. And so she basically wore me down. So I went and talked to 4 of her clients. And I got up in front of the room. I used to be an actress when I was younger. And all of a sudden I'm teaching in front of 4 people and I was in heaven. Who knew? So then that taught me, then I started teaching and then doing workshops. And then when I was teaching workshops, I started going, I need to get more people in workshops. And then I started speaking. And then I started speaking everywhere. And from speaking, people started asking me to write a book. And so it really, there was nothing planned. Like I didn't plan on writing a book. I didn't plan on being on TV. I didn't plan on, speaking. I didn't plan on teaching. It was really like the next evolution based on what people needed from me, wanted from me, asked me for. And then me having the wherewithal, the courage to finally do it. Because it definitely took courage for me to start teaching and definitely courage for me to start speaking. And then definitely courage for me to think I can write a book. So each step of the way, it was an unfoldment, an evolution. And I think that's the fallacy in so many businesses because we think we have to have everything planned. And, I was the first life coach on TV in the world changing lives. There was no such thing as reality television. Okay, there's no such thing as it. So how could I imagine it if there was no such thing as it, right? So I didn't sit there and go, oh, let me be on TV as myself, changing lives. No, I never did that. I never said, oh, let me write a book. Never did that. So the level of manifestation is, when people talk about manifestation or see it in order to make it happen, I disagree. I think that if you are in your flow and you are doing the next best thing and you are doing what's calling you, your life will unfold no matter what.
I have to agree fully with what you're saying because as you were talking, I can't help but just kind of think of all the amazing people I've interviewed. And there's a common thread in what you're saying, and that is courage and understanding that the evolution part of your journey as you are building your life. It takes you to believe that you can do it. Because if you're not taking the action to say, okay, not only do I believe I can make this happen, I'm going to execute what I need to do to make it happen. You're talking about manifesting the wonders of this amazing life that's yours. It's not amazing until you become amazing. Like we all have our amateur level. Like I remember when people were begging me to be on YouTube on video, I said, hey, that's not my world. I'm an audio guy. I have a face for radio. That's where I started, So it's a true fact that you grow and you mature with time as you are making those actual action steps because it takes effort. It's one thing to think about like what you just said. You can think about all these things, but it's not like you had your reality TV shows on your bingo card. That wasn't something that you predicted, but it's something that naturally flowed. And I want to touch on that because also what you do is you bring neuroscience of fear down to earth. So for our audience and our listeners, can you break down how fear actually operates in our brain in daily lives?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to do that. So I've created a psychological system to support people in understanding how to master their fear. And it is called the wheels. And there is a wheel of fear and a wheel of freedom. So when you say, how do you break down fear? Well, then let's go to the wheel of fear. Do you mind if I give you a quick little quiz to help our listeners and viewers get a feel for this? Because, for most of my life, I didn't think I was afraid. I grew up in Upper Michigan. I was Finnish, 100% Finnish. We didn't talk about feelings, and we definitely weren't afraid. So I never even thought I was afraid or scared. So the fact that I work with fear now is ironic, right? It's like crazy because that's exactly like, why would I do that? I'm not afraid. And my life only changed when I actually embraced that I had fear and started working with my fear. Before that, I was ignorant of my fear and just walked around thinking that I didn't have any. So I want to support people in helping them see whether they have some or not. So I'm going to give a little quiz. And if you're watching us or listening and you're able to shut your eyes, please do. And if you're able to nod your head when I read this list, nod your head if you do any of these things or feel any of these things, that would be great, because giving yourself a little like, yes, I do that. Yep, you're right. Yep, I do that. All right, so here's the list. Do you ever isolate yourself? Do you ever pretend everything's okay when it's not? Do you ever hide out? Do you ever secretly whine? Do you ever compare? What about manipulate? What about get defensive or judgmental? Do you ever complain, procrastinate? Do you ever wait and call it patience? Do you ever blame, struggle, worry? Do you ever try to get control? Do you ever deflect? Do you ever feel bitter, powerless? Do you ever feel dissatisfied or self-centered? Do you feel resentful or entitled? Do you ever become a perfectionist or a people pleaser? Do you ever get disappointed or irresponsible? What about overwhelmed or ignored? Do you get irritated, like now with me right now reading this list? What about annoyed, self-pity? And what about being a victim? So everybody open their eyes, and how much did you nod your head? And, whether I talk to a room of 1,000 people or 100 people, I would say 95% of the room has over 95% of the things they do or say. Would you agree with me? Yeah.
I would say I'm on all of those things because if every part of life, right? When you check your mile markers, I think we can, if we're honest with ourselves, there's been one point in our life where something on that list has been part of our journey, because I think when you are frustrated enough, it's like a clue saying, all right, it's time for something to change. And that's something that you see in the mirror. It's no longer the blame of the world or so-and-so that you think is holding you back. Yes. I think once we are humble enough to say, okay, let me look at reality, not what I want to see, but what I actually see in my reflection, and adjust from that point. Because if we try to latch ourselves, then I believe that continues the frustration, because every time we look back, it's the same thing. Like, we never made any choices to better ourselves or to push ourselves, or we didn't surround ourselves with the right people. So at the end of the day, everything you said on that list, I believe we all can.
Yeah. And so this list, one of the first things that people can do just to understand how fear works is to take this list, because most people use this list to beat themselves up. And it's their character flaws. It's the things that's their problems. It's the things they want to change about themselves. And while that all might be true on one hand, really how I think of these things is anytime you do any of these things, feel any of these things, experience any of these things, it's just a signal that fear is on patrol. And so these are what I call fear responses. So let's say the next time you procrastinate, you want to beat yourself up. Instead say, wait a minute. Rhonda told me procrastination is a fear response. So you can reframe it, relabel it. So you can start putting a distance between you and it and not make it a shame event, a blame event, a beating yourself up event, but an insight event, a awareness event, a shift event, a shift opportunity. So the next time you worry, blame, isolate, stop and say to yourself, okay, I'm not going to beat myself up. Instead, I'm going to reframe it and go, this is a fear response. This is just simply telling me that there is fear. And when does fear come to visit you? When you move into the unknown. And not even move. It could be thinking about it. It could be just even contemplating. It could be hearing a story from somebody else that your body starts, resonating with. And, your wheel of fear starts going, okay, wait a minute. She's thinking about changing. Wait a minute, because fear's only job, and I believe every feeling has a job. Well, fear's job is to keep you safe. And it is structured itself in our neurobiology to keep us safe. We're literally wired for fear. So let's say we have a problem in the present and we want to have a new future. Unless we are awake and aware, unless we know what's happening, we will be in the present moment, again, trying to solve it and make a better future. But our body and brain automatically go to the past to find a solution. And that's why we feel like we're repeating all the time, right? So we look in the past, don't mean to look in the past. We want to do something different, but we end up repeating the past. And that's the way that fear keeps us safe, because fear's kept you alive till now, right? So fear's like, I did a great job. I'm amazing, right? So it's going, okay, all those things work to keep her or him alive. So this is great. I just have to have her do those type of things again. I just have to keep her doing those things. And then that way you feel crazy. You feel like, why am I on this treadmill? Why am I on this hamster wheel? Why do I keep repeating the same patterns over and over again? It's because the wheel of fear, my friend, is a wheel. It spins around. There's 4 components and it spins around. And unless you are aware and awake, you will keep spinning. But now once you're aware and awake, and again, one of the ways to do that is to relabel your...
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Procrastination, your judgment, your blaming, your shaming, etc., to a fear response, that will give you the opportunity to escape, step out of that paradigm, and move into another paradigm that I call the wheel of freedom. So neuroscience, automatically, our body and brain are made for fear. So we're the only ones that can become conscious and awake and aware and decide to let either our automatic responses live our life or that we choose our life. But this is the key. When we start choosing, we're going to be tired. Whoops, I'm so sorry. I thought I turned that off. I apologize. When we start becoming aware, we're also going to get really tired because we're not used to that level of awakeness. So yes, you are going to be a little tired when you start becoming more awake. And I loved when you used humility earlier, because humility to me is the key. Being able to be humble enough to say, okay, I remember so vividly when one of the key moments in my life was 3 of my girlfriends dumped me, right? They didn't want to hang out with me anymore. And the first one did it, I, blamed her. The second one did it, tried to blame her. The third one, I was like, I'm the only common denominator here. And I had to get to that place of surrender and humility to be willing to even say that to myself. And then to look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, it's you, Rhonda. It's not about anything out there. It's you. And then, of course, as I was on my path, then, of course, I figured out this fear thing. And now I teach others how to get off their wheel of fear and onto their wheel of freedom.
Once again, you're listening and watching us online on Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Rhonda Britten. You can go to her website, fearlessliving.org, but she's the founder of Fearless Living Institute, and we're talking everything about fearless living. My next question for you, I love what you said about the way the hamster wheel and treadmill effect, because I think that is something that it's easy to get on because it's convenient in the beginning until it's not. It means when I say in the beginning is because in the beginning it's like, okay, I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to take a break. And before you know it, that break turns into a habit and you never end up starting where you need to start executing. And I think that's a great point you made, and goes into a segue to my next question, is that you develop fearless living as a framework for breaking free from fear. We've been talking about that. But what are some of the first practical steps that if someone's watching this or listening to us that they can start taking today to start that whole lifestyle of living fearlessly?
Oh, well, I have the perfect thing. So I would love to gift all your listeners and viewers a free course. And it is going to be a great first step, because you were talking about how do you start taking action? You've said that a few times about taking action, about being humble enough, being able to move forward, right? So it's called Stretch, Risk, or Die. And in order to move forward, in order to achieve a goal, in order to achieve a dream, in order to make it happen, you must, i.e., stretch, risk, or feel like you're going to die. So I created this tool for a client of mine, and now it's all my clients' very favorite tool. And what you're going to do is it has 3 videos, super easy, 3 15-minute videos. Can't make it much easier than that. And I have worksheets and a workbook, templates, everything you need in order to really start putting that dream and goal in place. And I'm going to show you how to lay it out so you can actually take action. And I'm also going to point out and show you why you're not taking action, what's been holding you back. And also the third video of the 3 has me describing the Wheel of Fear, which we haven't been able to do yet. And that will describe the whole thing. So you'll see me going through what the Wheel of Fear is, which will of course support you as well. So go over to fearlessliving.org/risk, R-I-S-K, fearlessliving.org/risk, R-I-S-K. Go over there, put your name and email in, and you're going to get access to my platform, and you'll get access to the class, Stretch, Risk, or Die, and take it. It's three 15-minute videos. And I promise you, you're going to feel relief, and you're going to be able to live the life your soul intended with more ease, more grace, more power, and more confidence. So get on over there and do that. So that's the first step. The second thing is actually, I'm going to go back to what I said a minute ago, is anytime you're about to beat yourself up. So in the world of fearless living, beating yourself up is a no-no. There is no good reason ever to beat yourself up or another human being. It's baloney. So I can't tell you how many people have said to me over the years, well, Rhonda, I have to beat myself up because it motivates me to change. Really? Really does it? Has it done that? Really? Because everybody I know, it hasn't motivated them to change. It's given them like insight into what they think they need to change, but it doesn't increase their confidence. Beating yourself up will never increase your confidence. It will never increase your courage. It will never increase your wherewithal and belief in yourself. It will never increase your trust in yourself. So instead of beating ourselves up, we want to do what I shared before, which is start labeling all of those. I'm beating myself up. Okay, that's fear. It's not me, it's fear. So once you can create that separation between you and it, give yourself some space, that space creates an opening for you to slow down and rethink what is your next step to make a different choice. Now, when you understand your Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom, I actually help you make those choices because I'm going to give you a framework in which to make those choices. So when we're on our Wheel of Fear, what we're doing is we're just attempting to avoid fear. Right? And you do all those fear responses in order to avoid that core negative feeling. You want to avoid ever being seen a certain way, and you are going to act from that place of your fear. But on the Wheel of Freedom, we have something called the essential nature. And that essential nature is that part of you that you hid away a long time ago because it wasn't safe to express it. Well, you got to go back and get that piece because that piece is the missing puzzle piece. And you got to go get that and claim that. And so once you grab it and claim it, I show you how to start taking actions from that new place, right? Instead of doing it out of avoidance, I'm taking action to avoid something, to get away from something, right? Instead, it's like, no, I want to express something. I want to show something. I want to be part of something. I want to connect to something. And then you're more inspired, more possibilities, more hope, more power, and more confidence will occur.
When people are thinking about, okay, I like what I'm hearing, I want to get this wheel of freedom turning. A lot of people might feel like, man, I've been in the gutter, and I'm freshly out, and I'm ready. But I still got that tendency to look in the rearview mirror. And a lot of times when we look in the rearview mirror, we don't really understand that the longer we look at it, it's like the smaller the object gets. And the more smaller it gets, the more dangerous it is, because if you're not paying attention to what is in front of you, you're going to miss a lot of things. Life is going to go by. And then before you know it, years has passed. Yeah. And you're still, no matter how successful you are, you're still beating yourself up, or you're still looking what happened in the past or what did not happen in the past. And why I see that is unnecessary weight that we keep holding on to. And sometimes the most freedom moment in our life is when we learn to let go. Yeah. It's hard to move on if you don't let go.
That's right. That's right. And one of the big lessons, I'm going to not use myself. I'm going to use a client. So I was at a mastermind, 7-8 figure business owners giving a talk. And during my talk, one of them raised their hand and said, okay, all this fear stuff. Okay, well then why do I keep making millions of dollars and losing it all? Making millions of dollars and losing it all. Making millions of dollars because I just want to stop. I just want to stop losing it all. And he went on to say that his father, because he goes, my father did it and my grandfather did it. They made millions of dollars and lost it all. Made millions of dollars and lost it all. So he wanted me to give him a quick little tweak, just do this and it'll be, you'll get out of there. You'll be able to make your millions and keep them. That's what he wanted. But the work that needed to be done was forgiveness. I said, have you ever forgiven your grandfather and father for handing down that to you in your DNA, to teach you that, to model that? Have you forgiven them for that? And he looked at me like I told him that he had 3 heads and, wore a frog suit. He couldn't, because again, he wanted a tip. He just wanted something to do, right? And some action he could take to prove his courage and confidence. And I said, well, the real courageous work to be done is forgiveness. So forgive your grandfather, forgive your father. And then I guarantee you that the way you reach for money and the way you have a relationship with money will change. And that's the humility and the surrender that you've been talking about, because too many of us want something like, tell me to be amazing, tell me to be a superhero. No, I'm actually going to tell you to forgive. This one's a forgiveness one. And that many people refuse to forgive because they're afraid. Many people use unforgiveness as a shield and, justifies their anger so that they can, in their mind, be safe. Forgiveness makes them, in their mind, unsafe. So it's opportunity for this young man who was probably in his 30s. I bet he was in his 30s. He has his whole life ahead of him. And he can decide to drop that story, drop that DNA story, drop that fear-based story that has been handed down and choose a different one. But he's going to be the one to do it. And he's the one that has to open his heart. And he's the one that has to forgive.
That's a great point. I can believe time is already running. But I want to say one last question. It wasn't on the script, but this came to my mind. When you think about
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
How your life journey, like you said at the beginning of the show, it was only a bingo card to be on Oprah. It was only a bingo card to have 150,000 plus copies sold. It was only a bingo card to be on over 600 plus episodes. All these thousands of people you've been able to coach. Would you say discipline is something that we also need to learn how to use? Because fear is one thing that I feel is always going to show up. It's like something that just rings the doorbell and you're like in the middle of trying to relax or whatever. And it's just like, oh, I'm going to test you. I'm going to test you. You go to the next level. I'm going to test you with some more bigger storms. How much does discipline play a role as far as you just making that decision that I'm going to be committed to that decision? Because we can be hot and cold.
Yeah, no, discipline is critical. And what I would say, though, is in order to have more discipline, in order to kind of slide into discipline, use the word willingness. Willingness is an underutilized word. And so when we're pushing against something, I don't feel like it, right? I'm enjoying this movie. I don't feel like it. Why? I work too hard, right? And we're doing all that stuff, but we have something due tomorrow and we know we want to do it, but I don't want to, right? Am I willing? Am I willing? Right? Am I willing? So willingness is the way that you move from a state of, undisciplined or fear-based into a place of awareness, because just stopping and ask yourself, am I willing? And you may not be willing. That's okay. Admit it. But again, using that word willing, and I also use that word in forgiveness and other exercises. And I also ask my clients, if they don't feel like they're willing, say, I'm willing to be willing one day. I'm willing to be willing one day, right? Because you're basically shifting your neural pathways. When you use the word willingness, that neural pathway is on alert because you're saying, you're here, neural pathway. You're thinking this right now, but I'm willing to have a different thought. I'm willing to take a different action. And all of a sudden, a new neural pathway starts forming just out of your willingness. And then once you get willing and willing and willing again, you're going to quit saying that to yourself. You're going to get sick of your saying to yourself, and you're going to start taking action, and probably action faster than you normally would. And then that neural pathway gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And then all of a sudden, you're easily and effortlessly living the life your soul intended, without struggle, without beating yourself up, without punishment, without the grind, but really from a place of unfoldment, a place of soul development, a place for you to be your true nature, and for you to do the work that you're here to do on the planet.
I'm about to prove what you just said, because this ain't on the script either, but it is something I want to tag on to what you're saying. You should ask yourself, are you disciplined to go to your favorite restaurant and have your favorite meal? Or are you willing to go to your favorite restaurant and have your favorite meal? Right. If we switch, like you're saying, the words that we're using, that also will promote not just growth, but our willingness to say, you know what, naturally, this is just common sense what I would want to do in my life. So obviously, to get from this point to the next point, it's going to have me have a certain attitude to actually go forth versus the old ways. It gets you nowhere. It keeps you the same. And if you just look back on your life, you will know the areas where you kept the same and the areas where you actually made effort and willingness. I agree. Once you have that attitude, it changes, it softens how you kind of think a little bit, but it still makes you a stronger person in how you lead the way.
It basically takes you out of black and white thinking and moves you into gray, right? It moves you into gray. And by the way, gray is where intuition happens. Gray is where source happens. Gray is where the possibilities happen. Black and white thinking keep you rigid and closed. So that willingness word just creates a little tiny opening, your foot, a little toe in there. You know, you might not be willing to walk in right away, but you got a toe in. Well, that's awesome. Because I always say to my clients, if I got a toe, I'll get you. I'll get the whole body in. We'll take you down, right? I got you. But just give me a toe, give me a fingernail. I got it.
Once again, you're listening and watching us online on Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Rhonda Britten. She's the founder of Fearless Living Institute. Go to her website, fearlessliving.org. You can get her books. You can get everything that she has to offer. All the stuff you need.
Go get the free class. Go get the free class, fearlessliving.org/risk, RISK.
And we definitely had that in the show notes. So, anytime, I always tell my guests, I not only appreciate your time, but if you have anything you want to share with our audience as far as new book you're working on or events or anything, what's the best way they can keep tabs on what you're doing?
I'm on all social media, and go to fearlessliving.org. If you look under programs, it says Get Coached or Become a Coach. I have coach certification programs you could discover. Also, Get Coached, take the Fearless Living Transformation Program, and you'll discover what your Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom is, or you can read the book and discover what it is. And of course, Fearless You is my membership, where I teach in there twice a month, so we can meet again and again.
Well, like always, for our audience, thank you for watching us and listening to us. Without you all, we would not be here. So, Rhonda, for you, thank you for sharing your wisdom today, and you truly are an inspiration. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Be fearless.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.